Why am I going to sleep when people are out there working? There is money to be made. I came from a place where you can work all night and don't make nothing.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on today's episode of What is Life? An ArtCast where we explore silos of Black consciousness, human rights, migration, emotions of colored people, and combustion of societies. My studio guest today is a music industry chieftain whose aspirations are vested in crossing boundaries with African music. He's known for creating and organizing the best festivals, the best African concerts, and shows that brings together diverse A-list African music artists.
Yep.
He's the founder of the African Muzik Magazine Awards, AFRIMMA. Please join me in welcoming Anderson Obiagwu, also known as Big A.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Also hosting alongside myself is Emmanuel Eben, the creative chain maker.
What's my title? You know, like my title.
While we're speaking today or discussing, having this conversation, I'll be painting this because this is a performance. And as we dialogue, it's just going to interact with what we'll be working on. And by the end of the show, we'll know who this belongs to. So, again, thank you for joining us, Anderson. This is a very relaxed conversation, studio conversation, and the first question we have here is, so we know you went to Holy Ghost College in a way.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And your favorite subject was mathematics.
Mathematics, yes.
And looking back at those days, would you have imagined that you would attain your current accomplishments? And also, were there any part of you back then that loved curating musical African talents, like bringing those shows?
Back in the days, like you said, mathematics was my favorite subject because I like, counting. I started counting money when I was before I even got to high school. Because my dad was a trader, so every holiday, I worked with him, and then people would come and buy products. I collect the money and count it, and you dare not miss a change. So, looking back, to 1990 when I graduated from high school, Holy Ghost College, Owerri. I've always been ambitious. I've always wanted to make a difference, and I knew I was going to be somebody.
Yes.
I don't know what. So, I just knew. And then music wasn't really a passion of mine. I loved music. I went, I partied in the clubs and danced, sang along to good music or whatever music that was reigning or in vogue then. But never ever thought I was going to have the kind of passion and love I have for African music right now. So, to answer your question, back then, no.
So back then, were a lot of people actually creating this type of events that,
Was it like the concerts?
Yeah,
and
were there
award
concerts
shows
that you were looking
like
at and you were
back then?
saying, if ever someday I do something like this, I'll take it to a whole nother perspective?
Yeah, back then, when I came to America, African music wasn't really buzzing. Then it was back in the days, during the days of B.I.G., Tupac, Shakur, and the rest of them. So I came to America. After a couple of years, I visited home. I went back home. Then I went with that American, then you can call it American swag. I had the Tupac blasting in my car, B.I.G., and all those kind of hip hop music. That was what was really out there then in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So when I went home, of course, I went out to the clubs, and then I could hear great music, music like Two-Face, musicians like Two-Face, KC, some good music. I fell in love because I think I was in Nigeria then for like a whole month on vacation.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the music. So when I came back to America, even when we went to, back in the days when you go to African clubs in America, you don't even hear African music. They play
That's true.
reggae.
Yeah.
That's the closest.
That was like the closest African music.
Exactly.
You're right, yeah.
So they played reggae. So
Yeah.
when I came back, I was going back home every year. So every year when I go back, it's a new music, it's a new artist, that is out there doing big things in Africa. And then when I come back here, it's like the music dies in Africa, and you don't hear it when
they
you come
don't
back
transition
here.
to this
And then
side.
when I come back here, I try to play around my friends. They just like just play Tupac, play Biggie and stuff like that. So not until I went to Canada, a friend of mine invited me to Canada. He opened a club in Toronto. Then that was I think in 24, 25. So he invited Two-Face. That was my first time actually going to an African concert.
Yes.
So I was with him. I got there a couple of days before the concert. So I was part of the organizing team. We went to he and I drove to the airport, picked up Two-Face. Then I had African Queen in Nigeria and all that stuff.
He was blowing up, yeah.
I got in the car with him and we were talking. And he was just a chill guy, and he was supposed to be like a superstar then.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this guy is too cool to be a superstar. So we went to the hotel, checked in, sound checked, then we got to the concert. It was a whole lot of people. It was just a beautiful experience, It was like, a lot of people. You look at everybody there, everybody came there because of the music, because of the culture. And I felt like something like that's what's missing here in America.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to try to
bring it, replicate, bring it back here to Dallas.
So when I came back, we created a group. It was a group of us, a group of friends. We came together. We decided to, throw our first concert, and then it was a big disappointment.
Wow. What was the name of the group?
Do you really want to know?
I would never imagine you were in the group. I think you were doing this.
No, it was a group of us, a group of friends. We came together. We it was called it the New Era.
Oh,
New Era. So. So guess what? We decided to bring an artist. A friend I knew. He said he was a promoter then. So he was promoting something. Then there was no Instagram. I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
Facebook was popping then.
Of course.
Man.
So it was on Facebook, and someone told me, there's Timaya is coming to America. I'm like, wow, let me hit this guy up. So I hit the guy up that's doing the show.
So you basically just worked your way up. It wasn't like you grew up with these people.
No mentor, no nothing. No, it was just boom into the game, So I hit the guy up. He said, he told us, okay, let's do the deal. We sent him a deposit. He told us to start promoting. We got a venue, started promoting the show. I'm talking about promoting like really hard. That was when Timaya came out. He was the hottest thing out there.
What was the song then that he
had a lot of songs. He had, Ogologo back in the days,
Yeah.
So, man, we were promoting the show, a week to the show. I called my friend, the guy in Canada, he was in Nigeria, the guy that had the concert where I met Two-Face. So he was in Abuja. So I called him, I'm like, bro, if you're coming back to Canada, why don't you come to Dallas? I'm putting up my first ever concert. Come have fun with us, So he's like, who's the artist? I said, Timaya. He said, he was with Timaya, coincidentally. He's like, I was with Timaya last night at the club. He didn't say anything about going to America. He said, okay, let me put him on two-way. He called Timaya, put Timaya on two-way. I will never forget that day. And he's like, Timba, you didn't tell me, you say you're going to America the next day, next week. So Timaya was like, we smell in America.
My God.
I didn't hear, I was like, I didn't hear.
Your head fell down.
I was telling him, he was like, what's smell in America? I'm like, excuse me, like I'm talking about America.
Well, I paid you.
I'm talking about America, like you're supposed to be coming to America. Back in the days, now.
There's contracts and all of that.
No, not even contracts. Now, if you're doing a concert now, all you need to reach the artist is just a tag. The artist is just a tag away.
Yeah.
Once anybody tags the artist, the artist will know that something
is happening. Yeah.
Back in the days, you can promote that Jesus is coming to Dallas. And everybody's buying tickets, and there's no way for them to
find out.
confirm he's actually coming. So I found that the week of my concert, I got off that phone. I didn't know how to think. I didn't know what to do. And my homeboys, everybody, my friends from out of town, everybody had bought tickets to the show.
Wow.
So almost sold out. Gosh. So I was in shock. So I just had to calm down for a couple of hours. Then I called my homeboy in Nigeria. I'm like, bro, what do you think I can do? And I said, you can just find another artist and replace him, but he has to be a bigger artist.
Wow. So Timaya didn't end up coming for your first.
He didn't have a visa. You have to first apply for a visa before you can even think of coming to America. And it was a week to the show. So now, my friend had to reach out to Two-Face, and Two-Face had a show the weekend before in Malaysia. So he was still in Malaysia. So we reached out to FA. That's why me and FA and Two-Face are still disclosed. So we reached out to FA. FA was like, he made the process so smooth and contacted Two-Face. We concluded on the deal. We had to fly him all the way from Malaysia to Dallas. And then he came to Dallas. But guess what? We didn't even put out a flyer saying that to promote. Because it's a week to the show. Yeah. People already bought tickets. So we're just hoping that whoever didn't like the show, we just want to reimburse them. And the ones that enjoyed the show, they can go home. You know what I'm saying? So we kept promoting. And then we also, because of what happened, the disappointment, I decided to add Kelly Handsome to the bill. We added Kelly Handsome. Then Omotola, then she released an album at that time. So we brought her too. So the venue was packed. Everybody was waiting for Timaya. Then, Kelly Omotola opened the show. She killed it. People, she's a big time movie star. So
of course, yeah.
Our fans came out and they were just happy to see her. Then Kelly Handsome. That was when that song Maga Don't Pay
came out.
Kelly Handsome and Two-Face were sent to the same record.
Yes. That was back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
So, time for Timaya. Nobody announced Timaya. Nobody announced Two-Face. Two-Face the DJ just played his jam. Boom, he jumped on stage. Two-Face, till today, like that guy is just a monster.
Yes.
He took them all over the world. Like he was on stage for about 2 hours. He killed the show. I'm talking about like stole it, killed it, ate it, everything. So after the show, we were still like anxious. Me and my partners, we were like anxious and still
because people might come out and say, "Wait,
where is he? What happened to him?" So everybody was just anxious, chilling, like waiting to see if someone was gonna come to get their money back. And everybody was like, "Man, good show, man. You guys need to do more of this shit. This is amazing,
man.
Like, damn, Dallas needs this. You need to bring this more often to Dallas." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, wow.
Sure that got your adrenaline going.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I remember that night. We went to the after party, after the show. We all got drunk. We were too happy.
Something that was supposed to fail became a success.
It was supposed to be a flop. So yeah, that was how we started. That was how I got into the game.
It's good hearing humble beginnings for people, especially of African and Black origin, because the way we've come up, nobody to show us the way, and sometimes we think you need to have a mentor or you need to know people. But we've always believed that Black people have intellect to create things by themselves, design it, create it, and build it to a point where it becomes something like AFRIMMA. So
very true.
We're thinking in the Western countries, there's a structure in place that allows people to go to college. After college, you graduate, then you apply for jobs after graduation. And you get a job. However, in Nigeria and some African countries, it's not the same. You need to know people. You need to have connection, as they call it, or people with influence. Although in America and the West too, it's still a little bit bad for Black people. You have to put in extra work, be very brilliant. For you as an adult, what was the very first job you did in Nigeria? And I'm assuming you had an adult job in Nigeria before you came to America. And how did that come about?
Like I said, growing up, my dad, he had a pharmaceutical company, and then he was a trader. So I learned the act of trading from from when I was a baby. So
Yeah.
Just like me, my
Yeah.
parents own a lot of shops. That's how I know how to start like
Exactly.
the business and all
yeah,
that.
so I learned how to hustle from an early age. So when I got to college, in my father's house, I had a tailor. I had a tailor in my father's house, in one of the rooms. You know, then it's called like a GQ back in Africa.
Boys' quarters.
Yeah, boys' quarters. So I had a tailor that made clothes for me then.
Okay.
So he would make these clothes, and there's a place in Nigeria. I grew up in Aba, so there's this market where you buy all these designer labels. So we make the local clothes and then put like Versace, Marks Spencer on it, and I'll take it back to school in college, University of Port Harcourt, and I sold it in school and made a lot of money.
Wow.
You know, so I started hustling from.
So you've been doing Abba before Abba even started.
So that was kind of like your first job. That's what brought your first job. Maybe like after college, that's what you continued to do after university.
Before I came to America, yeah.
That's smart. That's smart because back then it wasn't really publicized or anything like that.
Then
People didn't know.
In college, then everybody when it's time for them to shop to go back to school, they don't shop. They wait for me. They wait to bring the money to school.
Wow. So they buy their clothes from you.
Yeah. Once I get to school, my apartment, everybody's lined up outside.
Wow.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll place orders, and then the good thing is that you can tell me what you want, and I have my tailor make it for you.
Wow. That's a very wonderful business idea.
Yeah.
So, from building, now we can see where you got the idea of building things from humble beginnings, the idea of creating businesses by yourself. And we know you've invested, you're well vested in building projects. And we know for people who build projects, they end up having great establishment. You know, they become historic. AFRIMMA will be historic. The things you've done, most of them, you know, even with your other projects, which we'll still talk about later. During the early days of AFRIMMA, what was the experience like for you to get sponsorship?
Actually,
building its foundations in Dallas.
Before we get to that question, Jerry, there's one thing I feel like a lot of people know AFRIMMA, but you know they don't know how it all came about.
Yes,
I want you to pretty much give us a full scope.
Yes.
Today I'm finding out that you're good at telling telling stories. I want you to tell us because I feel like a lot of people don't know.
How did AFRIMMA come about?
People just think that it's just the award just started, but they forget that there was like a really ground for the award to start.
Yeah, you know, I started the promotion business in 2008, 2007, 2008. Then, you know, I brought pretty much every major artist, you know, that you know, from Africa, not just Nigeria, from
Tanzania,
to just name it. Pretty much every artist I've worked with. Yeah. So bringing them out here, you know, I go on tour with them here in the States and also in Canada. And then while we were doing those tours, you know, those were the days when they started getting nominations at the BET Awards, at the Grammys, and the rest of them. So we'd be on tour, and then the nominees list comes out, and their name is on the list. And now, time for the award show, they invite them to the pre-show. I'm talking about pre-show, not even like, some of the pre-shows were like a day before. And some of them are like early in the morning, and then that's where they hand them the awards. They're not even on TV. Wow. And some of them back in the days, they didn't even give them an invitation to the main award show. So they just, you know, just to fulfill all righteousness, put their name there, put his name there, he's the nominee, and then they're gonna give you your. And the one thing I like about Whiskey is that he boycotted all of them. So there is one year that we all made a statement. You know, he was just getting to the point where. Like, these guys are selling.
They're selling out
millions of records.
Yeah.
You know, and you're treating them like they don't have a voice. You know, so my team and I, we decided like, hey, we need to create something for Africa. We need to create a platform that is like full from us by us. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's how the dream AFRIMMA, you know, came about, and that was in 2014. The first edition was in 2014, and it was here in Dallas. It's always been in Dallas.
So I saw a video on YouTube where Banky W scales Whiskey arrived at the hotel. Was that? Oh, that was 2016.
No,
was
that was a concert. That was
a concert time, 12 or 11.
So that was a concert.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Whiskey, Banky,
Scales.
Rotimi.
Yeah, I think in Niola too. Was it?
Niola, yes. Yes. That was the whole. Then it was what's the number?
EMZ record tour. Yeah, they doing their tour. Yeah. And probably before AFRIMMA, some people don't know. Like it started as a magazine.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. It started as a magazine. Yes, from Bigger Entertainment, we transitioned into the magazine, and the idea and purpose behind the magazine was just to create like a one-stop shop for African music.
Yeah.
You can go, then it wasn't, everything was on print. Now everything's online. So now where you can go every month and look at what's happening in Africa musically and culturally.
Yeah.
And then who has the hottest record, who's the new artist on the blog, who's making the most money.
Yeah.
So that was how we came about the African Muzik Magazine.
Yeah, and just working with you, like I know it takes a lot just to put on this show, and a lot of people usually just think that it's just bread, and the bread is just right there to just throw around. But I forgot that at the same time, you or the team seeks a lot of sponsorships, and sometimes just breaking through and letting people know Africa is the new wave. You should put your money in there. It's very, very. It's not that it's difficult, but it's the thing where it needs a lot of convincing.
It's going to take extra convincing as an African in America.
And the most frustrating thing about it is that we have the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
We do.
And an average African family in America, or Texas to be precise, makes over $70,000 a year. An average family.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
And we have the numbers here. We have the numbers here, but it seems like they're not paying attention.
There's no recognition.
There's no recognition for the culture, and they rather sponsor a Hispanic tournament of maybe 300 people than sponsor an event that's gonna pull
close to
thousands of
3,000,
people.
4,000. Yeah.
It's not. But now I think they're waking up. When we started, it was really, really, really difficult. But now the city of Dallas, they're getting involved with the whole multicultural movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's getting a lot easier. But going back to your question, when we started, thank God for Access Healthcare Consults.
Okay.
So they believed in the dream from the get-go because they are African owned.
Yeah.
They, I went into their office and we sat down and said, hey, I have this big dream, or they're like, this dream.
You have to pitch the idea to them.
This dream is bigger than you.
This dream is like bigger than you. I say, we shoot for the sky wherever we land. Then but it's something that I've been passionate about. Let's do it. We're gonna be behind you, And then I remember back in the days, one time we hired a consultant. He's supposed to be the one trying to sell us to the corporation, and then whenever he has a meeting, he has to come get me
to go sell the dream.
About the culture, because he doesn't understand the culture.
It's like it's your dream.
It's your dream. You have to work.
Come and tell them your dream.
Yeah, that goes back to tell you that if it's your story, nobody can tell better than you.
Very, very true.
It's just what it is. So we just have to keep on pushing.
Before the word pitch was used out there, you pitch your idea. I think Africans and black people have been pitching to. We spoke to Basketman and he told us of how he went to pitch his idea to African Magic. When you back then, when you went out to pitch, is there a way you have to rehearse? Because you guys pretty much were pitching before we came up. Who gave you the idea? Because in Nigeria there was nothing like pitching. You really wait for influence. Yeah. Because there's no structure back then. And if there was, it was not known to me, Nobody says, okay, let me coach you on how to go out there with your proposal, except if you're a company, but as an individual, how did you learn about this pitching, how to pitch ideas? Because I can tell you, as a studio guy, I know what it takes just to pitch an idea to someone. And all they say is, thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's just like being a salesman. Like I said, I've been a salesman almost all my life. So the story is a story that I know is our story that I'm a part of. So
you're used to the story.
So talking about it I can talk about it all day. So just I have the numbers. I have most of the time you just have to pull up the numbers from your social media platforms. You have the numbers. most of them don't even care about those numbers.
Yes.
They don't. They just want to. They don't. They before you get in there, they just want to fulfill all righteousness. Before you get in there, they know you're not getting a dime from them. They just have to. Maybe they have to just make it seem like
they are in the same place. And sometimes they want you to tell them a sad story.
Yeah, because sometimes I've told a million of sad stories.
Yeah, it's like they want to know your sad story, your background.
We'll call you back. We're gonna send you a message.
No, they won't call.
You're right. And you even when you invite them, I say, okay, you guys are not ready to sponsor this year. I'm inviting you this year. I'm
To just come see it.
Okay, we're gonna see about it. And then you don't see nobody.
Yeah, you don't see nothing about it.
No,
you just
no.
So if you look back, if you look back at life right now, at this point, at this standpoint where you are, like living in Nigeria versus living in the diaspora, how would you define life?
I love Nigeria. Nigeria was what molded me to who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the experiences in Nigeria, the hardship. Nigeria was my greatest teacher. Just knowing that, you know, living where you don't really, there's pretty much no future, but you have to make that future for yourself.
I see.
Like there's no structure. The system is set up to make you lose, not win. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you come out here and you look at it like, oh damn,
This is an easy task.
this is easy.
this is easier, yeah.
Like, there's no way you can at least make enough to have, you know, to be able to feed 3 times a day, at least to have a shelter over your head. You know, in Nigeria, you work, but you don't get paid.
You don't get anything.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like for these youngsters that are coming into America or migrating from all over the world into America today, you can be anything you want to be here.
Of
You
course.
can be pretty much anything you want to be. You're just only going to take time, patience, and you believing in yourself. That's it.
I remember you telling me one time that, sorry if I cut you off, that when you came here, when you was going to school and working 3 jobs, that you had to move from one job to another immediately after the other one.
Because
How was that process like?
Yeah, it wasn't that difficult. Like I came out here, like you can actually make real money here. Like why am I sleeping?
They don't pay your salary in Nigeria.
You know what I'm saying? Why am I going to sleep when people are out there working? There is money to be made.
Yeah.
I came from a place where you can work all night and don't make nothing.
You're right.
You're here where the job is not like
Just work,
manual
you get
labor. It's
paid.
not like you're out there in the sun or in the field. You know what I'm saying? You are in a building that has air conditioning or heater. You're comfortable.
You
Like,
sound like my dad right now.
no, but you know what I'm saying? Like, geez, why can't you work?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, then I was working at a restaurant. So it's like the way I was working at that was my first job at Golden Corral. So
Golden Corral buffet.
so when every time when anybody wants to call it, they say, "Oh, call Anderson. You're gonna take your shift." But I told him, anybody that if you don't want to work the day you feel like it,
Just call me.
I'm just a phone call away. You know what I mean?
I'll take over here.
Yeah. So it was a good experience coming out here, knowing that you can actually create the future for yourself. You know.
That's really good. I mean, I like it because if you look back at it, you find out that a lot of the things that they attach our names to, it's not really who we are.
No.
Because if I look back, even from my dad when he moved here, my dad first went to live with my uncle in Atlanta, so he was staying there. My uncle was like, just relax, you don't have to do anything. And my dad was like, my family is still back in Africa, there's no way I can just sit down and not do anything. He moved from Atlanta, came to Texas, stayed with my auntie, and he was telling us how he was doing 3 jobs as well.
Yep.
He was moving from one job to another. There was one time he almost crashed his car because he had not slept for a while. So he was telling us all those things that sometimes when we see the struggles that he has gone through, when he looks at us and see us in the stage that we are, he's happy because he knows that nothing that was done was, was in vain, And most of the times now we see that in the news, people want to attach us to fraud and all of that. But we have hardworking parents and hardworking people who have fought their way just to get to where they are now. So, yeah.
Looking at your accomplishment in the music industry, and I know this industry is very saturated. You have lots of people who overnight have succeeded due to social media.
Yeah.
I marvel at what it takes, Year after year, I've seen you program, create, develop AFRIMMA into what it is. whether it's trying to create a show for a musician or even aligning with the schedule, because that can be crazy.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Some would argue that life is about losing, and some would say it's about winning. If you could share with us, what are some things that you've been successful at and some things that you have learned lessons from in life?
Yeah, I mean, I look at life, as a learning curve. I don't ever consider any venture a loss, even if I lost money, because the only thing you can lose is money and time.
Yes.
But even in that loss, you gain something.
Experience.
Some lessons.
Exactly. You gain the experience and you learn some lessons, so you can't make the same mistakes again in the future. So, to me, I've always looked at it like that's. Some people lose, and they lose terribly. Like it's like they lose themselves in that loss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like they just talk about it and think about it. My wife sometimes asks me, "How do you get over things so fast?" I say, "Why am I dwelling in it? It's
true.
It's gone. It's gone. So the
The
only
past
thing I
is
can
gone.
do is look forward and move forward." That's
Exactly.
it. So to me, I've lost a lot in the game from the day we started till now. But to me, those were just lessons. Those were just lessons and blessings. Because if you don't make those mistakes and if you don't take those L's, there's no success without loss.
True.
It's not possible.
True.
So I don't really have any regrets. I don't.
I think me and Jerry was also talking about this thing about losses one time. He was telling me how I don't know if it's Mark Cuban that he won't invest. Is it Mark Cuban or something?
Mark Cuban, and it's also Elon Musk. They took the entire profit, invested in a different venture. Once you make profit, you could have walked away.
And also that they won't invest in you if you haven't failed in something.
Of course,
because they want to know how you handle that.
Because if you haven't failed, you don't have no experience.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I started promoting African music, a lot of people saw the success. They didn't see the depression. They didn't see the losses. They just saw the success, the overnight,
the
artists.
They never saw the hard work.
The crowd. They don't even know if you've made money or lost money. Everybody that comes to your concert,
they just think you make money. Make money.
Now they looking at it like a business and they're jumping into it the next minute. And I'm so surprised the way they jump into it is the same way they jump out of it.
They're shocked that be taking them.
They don't understand that there's a building process.
Yeah.
Life is a process.
There's an experience process.
Exactly. You have to lose. You have to learn those lessons. I learned the hard way because I didn't have any mentor. I started doing their work permits to bring them on tour. I didn't even know. I just brought them on tour.
So you would have to process the work permit for the artists themselves.
Of course.
Wow.
So I didn't even have any plan. I just knew I can do it.
And jumped into it.
I just learned on the job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I have a lot of people that I mentor, people that want to get into the business. They come to me and tell me, "Hey, do it this way. Don't do it that way. If you do it this way, you get a better result."
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So at least they have something to reference to.
Something to do back.
It's just the name. It's just the way the game goes. That's what's wrong with this generation today. Everybody wants to be a shot caller. Everybody wants to be a baller.
They're ready to get
Everybody wants to pay the price to be a boss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's how I met you. I feel like I'm gonna tell you a little short story when I first met you. So I think I don't know, it was an ad or something that was going on. Actually, it was no ad. I had just come out of college from SFA, and I remember at that time I wasn't doing anything. I was looking for a job then because it was business administration that I studied. And it's like, where would I get a job for business administration? I was like, man, what the hell? What's going on? What am I going to do with my life? I'm looking at my parents, they're looking at me like, okay, you don't want to be a doctor, you don't want to be a nurse, you don't want to be a pharmacy. Okay, what are you going to do with this degree? And my friend Demsa and my other friend David Solomon, I remember that time I was going to their studio. They were record. Demsa, used to be producing for all the artists that usually come to town. Likes like Inyanya and all of them. So when I got there, they taught me about the music industry. I was like, man, this is something I really like, and I feel like I'm good at. Then someone was like, you need to go meet Anderson. I was like, who's Anderson? They said Big A. Because then, mind you, I wasn't going to the club.
No.
My dad would never allow me to go to the club, never in Africa or even in America, because it was like school back home. That's it. That's all I was doing. And church. My dad was a pastor, so club was like a taboo. If they see you at a club, they're gonna call your dad. Oh, your son, you're preaching here. Your son is at the club or this and that. So it was those things that was happening back then. And mind you, this is like 2011, 2012. I was like, man, what am I gonna do? It's like go meet Big A. So I'm a shy person. Anybody who knows me know I'm shy. And if I'm nervous, I'm shy. I stutter a lot. Like I can't even get one word out. So it's like, no, I have to find a back door. It's like they say, okay, meet Adam. Adam helps do some stuff for Anderson. Like that's who you need to meet. And I now find Adam. Adam was like, I was like, bro,
So
I need to meet Big A.
I got a lesson from that. If you can't articulate your goal, just find the person who's.
Yeah, I was like, I need to meet Big A. This is something I can do. Forget my size. Okay, let me tell you something. I'm bigger now. Anderson knows I'm bigger now. Before I was very small,
Very
tiny,
little.
no weight, nothing. Like you could usually blow me away. You know, so it's Eddie was like, I don't know, man. You think you can do? I was like, Eddie, trust me. When I tell you I can do something, I've done something. Because me, I've always been business savvy. Like I ran my mom's store when I was 7 years old. My mom had multiple stores. I was running them straight up, paying people and employees, paying my sister and all of them. So I had the drive. I just didn't know how to tell Big A, just trust me. So I went to meet Adam. Adam set me up with a meeting with Big A. Jerry, I got to that meeting. I bombed.
You bombed it.
Big A was like, this guy can't even speak. I was over there stuttering left and right. I couldn't get one word out, bro. I left them and I was like, yeah, this is not call. Big A is not calling me back. This is done. It's like, no, Adam called me. He's like, okay, we have a tour that we think we want to trust you with. This is gonna be your first tour. I was like, okay, let's do it. Guess who they put me with?
Who?
Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Kukere.
Bro, imagine going from city to city to city to city to city to city. And
That's how you learn.
that's how I came to learn the business music industry. And I feel like the people that I've got to meet so far on today and is entrusted because trust me because Big A trusted me to be in their presence. And I feel like that's one thing that will never change with you. You always give people the opportunity to show themselves.
Yes.
And a lot of time people, even my family will say, why are you always defending Big A? Because I know exactly the hard work it takes.
Yeah.
I know exactly the time. I know exactly it doesn't take it. Sometimes it takes a lot to trust people. If somebody can trust you with their money, they can trust you with anything. You know, and that's what a lot of people fail to understand. Like, if I give you money and I tell you to go and make this money, and you bring that money back to me the way I asked you to do it, then I can count anything on you. Because if you cannot cheat me with money, you cannot really cheat me with anything else. So that's really like the back door between me and Big A. And I feel like there's nothing that he will call me and I'll say no, because I owe him. You know, even though now he owes me because I know the hours that
See what mentorship. He never had any mentorship, but you
know the hours I've committed. You know, and it's a great experience. I've learned a lot. You know, people like my basketball understanding and call me his brother because he knows that Big A had trust me with him for him to be able to feel safe to do that. So I'm gonna give you your flowers for that. I appreciate you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Take one icon water over there. I don't have flower. That's my flower to you. I appreciate you. We're gonna go back into this next question, and we just want to see. We want to dive into some things in Africa. We feel like a lot of times, we are facing so much, and America don't really understand, the hardship that we come from, or how we have to pass through just to get to where.
A lot of people are not speaking about
just to get to where we are, which is one of the reasons why Jerry decided that, Manny, let's do this podcast. We need to tell our story. We need to express that. We need to find ways and find solutions to create things and make things happen for us. Of the 218 million people in Nigeria, approximately 33 million are youth. That's the size of Ghana, Australia, Finland, Norway, Sweden. As a youth in Imo State, which has almost 5 million people, what did you love the most about the culture? That don't sound very excited.
I mean, like, it's not like the culture is already there. The culture is what molded us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, respect your elders. Pray before you eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not steal. You know, because everybody is your parent in the community.
Very
so
true.
you can't go out there and mess up. Even till data still. It's still
Yeah.
keeps me grounded.
It's entitled.
You know what I'm saying? The culture-
Invested in you.
Yeah, the culture is there, but we're losing that culture. We're losing that culture because one, there is no, the people are helpless.
True.
People are helpless. People are living in abject poverty. There's no security. There's no future. The students in colleges just went back to school.
After 8 months.
The student
After several months.
governing body was on strike for 7-8 months. Like, what kind of future are you thinking about? Like, you go to school. You're supposed to go to school for 4 years. By the time you're done, you're a grandfather. By the time you graduate, you know what I'm saying. So the culture is there, but right now we're losing everything. We're losing the culture because our government, they don't care about the people, and the people are just looking for a way to survive.
Yeah.
People are just looking for a way to survive, because think about it. Imagine if you have children and you have 4 children and a wife and a whole family to take care of, and you're making pretty much zero income. People that go to rob the bank, they don't wake up. They were not born armed robbers. Something pushed them. Don't get me wrong. They're like career criminals. What I'm talking about, majority of the kind of criminality that happens in Nigeria
Yes.
is out of poverty, out of
depression, out of zero
and you're
hope.
sitting there, your child is dying, and your neighbor has the money. You have to go rob them.
And
Or else
if you
your child is
ask
gonna
them,
die.
they won't give you the
won't
money.
give you. So our problem can be fixed. It's just bad leadership, bad governance. If you have a good leader, invest in human resources.
Yes.
We have it.
Which was the only thing the British brought to Africa, human resources.
Yeah.
They had no raw materials.
Of course, we have
had-
everything. Like we have everything.
They only brought human resources to structure the African colonies. And with that, they took everything we had and took it back.
Of course. I was in Nigeria last July. When I bought toothpick, I told them to go buy me toothpick. They bought toothpick. Toothpick looked like, I don't know. It didn't look like, like how it comes in a pack. All of them are not shaped the same.
Wow.
Both shape, width, and length. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, and then I turned the back, and I'm like, this shit. Who made this stuff?
Who made this and call it toothpick?
Like a company made this stuff. So I look at it.
And ship it out.
I look at it. We're importing toothpick from China.
Wow.
My God.
Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Right down to toothpick.
when people are suffering in Nigeria, what does it take to create a toothpick factory?
Exactly. We have the numbers.
You create it in a village. You can provide, employment for that whole village. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what it is. It's like people are living in abject poverty.
And they eat a lot of meat. That's a good way to start a business.
It's crazy.
So the roads are one of the basic entitlements to the people of a society. If you have the power, what would you do to fix Onitsha Owerri Road, as well as the military extortion checkpoints? For example, the one at Anemel Junction and Obosi
bypass access.
Opposite bypass access.
Those are the prominent ones always in the
No, but
news.
you can't take the military. You can't take the military off the road. If you take them off the road, where are they going to make money from?
Wow.
The military, they're not getting paid enough money.
So the
So
military.
they have to extort money from the citizens to be able to take care of their own families. And then, if they leave the highways,
The criminals.
the criminals will take over the highways, although they're already taking over the highways. So
There's two set of
you
criminals on the
you
highways.
just have to fix the problem.
at the
Create
source.
jobs. Create jobs. When people are working, people are busy. Nobody has the time to go
Go
rob
and steal.
anybody.
Very true.
So now you can now return the military people
Back to
the barracks where they're supposed to be. How many times do you see the American military on the street?
Only
never
when,
see them.
only when there's a situation.
Exactly. But in Nigeria, that's where you see a military man guiding a civilian.
And that's one of the biggest problem now
You
in
know what I'm saying?
Nigeria.
I'm like, I went to a wedding one time, one Christmas I went to Nigeria. I went to a wedding. Do you know that outside of the gate of that wedding, it looked like a barrack.
Wow.
Because everybody came with their
it seems like everybody that came to
security
that wedding
personnel.
Came with their
three
military.
or four military men with them. It would look like a barrack. I'm not playing. It looked
Wow.
like I'm like, that means if you go to the barrack, I'm sure
The barrack's empty.
Just FYI, for people who don't understand the structure in Nigeria now, people can go to the police station and get your own police officer to be basically whatever you want them to be.
Of course, some of them make them,
More
drive
money.
them, drive them, make them carry their wife's purse.
Carry their smokes.
They carry some of them babysit. They carry your kids.
Wow.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
In a country that has insecurity currently,
Crazy, man.
that is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So if you had the power to fix it, I mean, we're trying to understand if this is something that is very complex, maybe it's a rocket science type of issue, or if you had the power to fix it, what would you do to fix such issue right
There's
now?
nothing to fix. Create employment.
Okay.
Create employment. When you create employment, people are going to get back to work. When people get back to work,
People are
they're
busy.
making money and paying taxes. From the taxes they're paying, you fixing whatever you need to fix.
That's
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I get you.
People can,
It's a whole system.
yeah, people can gain, people can be gainfully employed where they're making decent money.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, like in my whole village, 80% of the youth don't have jobs. And now they have these headsmen that are all over, like they're killing people, in the farms and everything. So people don't even go to the farm anymore.
Wow.
So people are hungry.
So there's no safety.
There's no safety,
There's
there's
bad roads.
nothing,
There's no
absolutely
jobs.
nothing.
So at the end of the day, the people are ridiculous. They just left to live
die.
life.
They're
live
just
life
left
by
to
them.
die. And that's why, how else are they going to survive? They're going to turn to armed robbers, kidnappers. Of course. What do you expect them to do?
So should African? We talked back on sacrifice. I remember you were talking about the sacrifice you have made,
Yeah.
and the sacrifice have also been what that have led your family to a standpoint. Before I move on so far, I also want to give credit to your wife. I feel like we have a chat that me and my guys talk about, and I tell them like the couple of people that I emulate when it comes to like me having a wife, and one of them is like my mom. My parents have that great relationship that have passed that through us, and I feel like there's nobody I can marry that I don't see myself. I mean my parents' relationship as a mirror to how I want mine to be. And I want also thing is you and your wife, Auntie Foma, like the way you guys sync together. It's like I feel like not only the struggle keep you guys to that understanding, but also how you've learned to not only have work and marriage, family life so perfect. You've learned so much that it's like a system now that you don't even have to think twice.
Yeah.
If you cough, she knows when to she knows when to bring the medication. So like is that one? I want to give you the flowers on that, because when you're not around, and if you can literally run the whole family without any no shaking at all. So back to the question I want to ask. My dad sacrificed to get us here. Sacrifice also to build a family back in Africa and build a whole empire before losing everything to move over here. When he got here, he did a lot of sacrifice just to get us here.
True.
You did the same thing, and your wife, you guys did the same thing. You became who you are now. And the question that I want to ask is, should African parents make so much sacrifice for their offspring, or so much sacrifice for a better society to their ultimate both parents and children benefit from the beauty of the society?
Of course. We grew up like that. We grew up to be our brother's keeper. We grew up to take care of family. We grew up to understand that family is everything. So you have to take care of family. It's like second nature. You know what I'm saying? Like here, in Africa, it's extended family unit. Here in America, it's nuclear. Everybody's just worried about me, myself, and I. You know what I'm saying? So in Africa, it's not. As Africans, that's just the way we are. we take care of we take care of each other and one another. And
But what I've realized is that sometimes the two cannot go hand in hand. So I've looked at some Western countries that have kind of advanced, and what they did is like they went out and made sure they get engaged with what's happening in the society, change it, so the schools, the roads, the houses, more jobs, so that their kids can have better future. In my opinion, in Nigeria, people focus like, okay, let me just get my family straight.
Individuality.
No, all that thing happening there is not my business. And I don't know if we're not moving in that direction. And it doesn't have to be about entirely individuality, but again, it's about looking into what's happening out there as a collective system. So let's say this community. I was in Nigeria in August. And I went to my parents' house. I went with my friend's car. This is in Ibadan, so from Yano Church to Olodo. We went the first day. By the third day, my dad said, don't bring that car here. Otherwise, you guys will have to go get a mechanic to get the engine. The engine will literally fall out.
Bad roads.
And my question to him was, so who's the counselor for this local government? Because I know there's a budget every year to fix the road. And he said, oh, don't go there. You go and meet the counselor. And there's a kind of fear. There's a kind of, oh, don't do that. Just mind your own business. Get your family right. Get your family straight. And I feel like that's the same thing that has been happening for generations with Nigeria. But when we look at countries like America, South Africa, European countries, they wake up the next day and they go challenge those people.
Because they give them voices. We don't have a voice in Africa.
What is the first thing we need to do to get those voices back? How do we regain our voices?
Is go get your PVC and vote the right leader in.
Exactly.
The point of the matter is that you can't have a voice in Nigeria. If you say something against the government, you might come up missing the next day.
Of course.
So there's nothing like that. So that's why you worry about you and yours.
So I guess that's where the individuality comes from.
They've managed to instill that fear,
and silence everyone.
So what are you talking to someone that walks around with 20 armed security men? So what are you going to knock on his door and say? Are you going to wake up in the morning and go with your whole family, stand in front of his house with placards? They'll just arrest you all and put you in jail.
Wow.
Here in America, you can go and peacefully demonstrate in your mayor's office or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to touch you as long as you're not breaking anything. But it's not like that in Africa. It's not like that in Nigeria. So that's why everybody's will mind your business.
And do you foresee that happening for, say, the next 20 years?
Yeah, as long as to fix Nigeria is easy. Trust me. I live there. I go there every year, and we don't have problems. Our problem is accountability.
It's so funny that when we spoke to basketball,
so you can fix Nigeria in a day.
Same exactly. He said, there's no problem in Nigeria. We can fix it just like that.
What problems do we have? We don't have. What problems do we have in Nigeria? There's no problem. The problem we have in Nigeria is that they read the budget of $300 or something trillion. At the end of the day, what happens to the freaking money?
Nothing.
Where's the money?
No account.
No accountability whatsoever. It's only in Nigeria where they tell you that the snake swallowed money.
Termites ate money.
And you think it's a joke, but hey, that's what it is.
Everybody will just read the story as like, okay, they've come again.
Life goes on.
Life goes on.
And when you're taken to the court, you can pass out.
Yes. So it's just what it is. They've managed to instill that fear in everybody. So everybody's minding their own business.
Wow. So when you need to come up with ideas or concepts like the Ebony Project, congratulations, by the way. During the pandemic, you started a new venture. You are now a proud restaurant and club owner. You now own Asa Rock. Parts of it. Are you still parts of it, or is fully?
Part of it, yeah.
Okay, but you're fully owner of the Ebony Restaurant and the Ebony Music and Vibes.
Yeah, it was just during the pandemic and everybody was at home and I've always loved entertainment.
You've always wanted to get into a club business.
I just wanted a place where when I bring the artists, they can perform,
enjoy themselves.
And people are always going to be hungry. People are always going to want to eat food. And Why go pay if I bring a smaller artist? Why go pay it for? Why go spend money on a venue when I can bring them here at my place? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was how that idea came about. So.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Congratulations on the new space.
And the project in Houston. Do you leverage the knowledge you've acquired from your days in the university earning the bachelor's in business management, or do you create them based on your interests? I think it goes hand to hand.
Pretty much, you know, if you're not a doctor or if you didn't study medicine or law, I don't think everything you use from going to school is just pretty much you don't put into any use. It's smartness. Nobody's the truth.
Facts.
It's smartness. You can have 10 degrees if you're not operating on anybody. You're not using it for. If you just went to school for business management. Business management, you knew that. You said you were managing 7 stores at the age of 7.
Yeah.
You know, even your professor can't even manage 7 stores. 7 stores at the age of 2. So the thing is that, you know, the degree is okay. You learn how to read, write, type, send emails, all these apps and softwares, but that's all about it. But the rest of it is you just learn on the job. You just
street
it's just part of life experience.
Life experience.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just what it is.
Yeah, life experience actually made me a man at a young age. Remember my dad being in America. That same year, I lost my grandma passed away. That same year, my aunt, the next couple of months after, my auntie lost the husband, and my mom had to go to the village to go bury them. Coming back, they had a bad accident. 2 people passed away in that car accident. The car flipped over. So my mom now was stuck in the hospital for 6 months.
Wow.
And mind you, my dad is in America. And not that there's no business, there's business. Who's gonna run it?
Yep.
Emmanuel had to step up. Now, because my older sister is not really right now she's business, but my brother has always been a preacher. you can't tell him to count money for nothing. My mom would even send him to go sell some market sometimes. He would go leave that market and be standing in the market and be preaching to everybody. So that's always been him. So I'm my sister is in college or maybe then high school if I'm not putting them correctly. So now Emmanuel, the 7 years old, has to now run this business while also giving my siblings money to go to school. I feel like those are the things that teach you. You know,
True. Exactly.
It teaches you life. You know, it teaches you life. So I definitely understand what you mean. So.
What did you say?
No, he wanted to cough. Because he's been coughing on our sound. You're good now? Okay, so Jerry, you want to take this last one or I should take it?
So I'll take the last question. So as a person who's constantly growing, creating new establishments, what can we expect from Anderson? What are the new projects you're working on? What should we look out for?
Well, right now, I started a spice line during the pandemic. So I bring spices, different African spices from Africa.
So you make the spices and sell them here?
Yeah, we bring them to the States.
That's wonderful.
So I'm working on, actually building a factory only in Africa, and then just making those spices there, and then exporting it here
bringing it to America. Oh, that's wonderful.
Anything musically that you're working on? Apart from the award that is draining you?
No, I'm working on my album.
Okay. You know.
Something dropping on Friday.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm dropping my song with Two-Face. It's called Aristo. We shot the video, recorded the song while I was on tour with him earlier this year, and we shot the video in Houston.
Who shot the video?
Patrick Ellis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're dropping the album, the video and the single this Friday. So
do you think that's a new thing you want to start?
Of course.
Taking over.
Yeah. I really I love African music, so I just.
You gonna give us some ad libs or something, or you just gonna be showing up on the?
But this is not my first time I'm putting out songs. I big entertainment's 10th anniversary. I dropped an album. Yeah, I think you heard about I did some intros in the album now. Come on.
I know you. You know, our audience, they want to know what you're up to.
So I'm turning 50. I'm turning 50 next April.
Wow,
So,
you don't look like it.
Yeah, that's what they said. But I feel like it.
He don't want to get old, trust me.
So I'm working on.
If you know this man, he's fresh.
And you
He's
don't
fresh
work like
even when
it.
he wakes up.
So I'm working on the EP. So the EP is gonna have, pretty much most of the artists I've worked with in the past from
Nice.
all different parts of Africa. It's not just gonna be a Nigerian EP.
It's gonna be a multi.
Exactly. I'm gonna have a little bit of dancehall artists in there too.
Nice.
Oh wow.
I plan to drop the album next year on my 50th.
Your 50th. Okay, nice.
wonderful.
And people don't know. I was telling Jerry today that you have a book.
Yeah,
You know,
of course, Crossing Boundaries.
Crossing Boundaries. That's your first book. Yeah, pretty much like an autobiography. We're gonna take that again.
Yeah.
So you have a book, and it's pretty much like your
Autobiography.
autobiography of your journey.
Through music, yes.
Yeah, which is called Crossing Boundaries in Music,
From past to present.
past to present. Where can they find the book at?
It's on Amazon. It's on some digital platforms.
Okay.
So,
No, but right before we conclude, if there's a young African person, who's kind of like this society, and I'm talking about African society, because pretty much you said it. If you're in the American society, things shouldn't be too hard for you to understand, especially if you grew up in Africa.
Yeah.
If an African in Africa is looking at this and thinking, I just need a word of advice that can help me, nail down and focus on my goal. What is one advice, one lesson or word of encouragement you can give to them? Because from the way it looks, the society is not getting fixed tomorrow anytime soon.
Yeah.
These people don't care about us. So what is one advice you can share with them?
Just stay positive. Stay positive and believe that tomorrow is going to be better. Put in work, as difficult as it might sound. Just stay positive, keep working, believing in yourself, and get your PVC. That's the biggest tool.
Yeah.
Get your PVC. I know Nigeria is not going to be. Most countries in the world, most civilized countries in the world went through what we're going through right now, but I know it's not going to be forever.
Yeah.
Just stay away from peer pressure. Just keep believing in yourself. Keep putting in work. There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
So the ones that have migrated over here, I know a lot of people always like. I like also making reference to the ones that we have here. A lot of people think that even being in America, it's also
quite
like
easy. Yeah.
life is easy. Like, so people just need that encouragement and whatever. What can you like tell them? Because people just think. I mean, imagine just coming here having to start from square one. Like, I could only just imagine what my dad felt like when he moved over here. Being a rich man in Cameroon, then coming over here, starting to square one.
A lot of
with
Africans
someone.
were rich in Africa, and coming here they have to drive cabs,
Yeah.
figure out the society, figure out how to navigate the society. So I think that's what Manny was alluding to. But
Yeah, just talking to someone who have made it out of that. Like, what do you think?
You're talking about who was born here.
No, who came over?
Come
here?
over here. Nobody needs to tell you anything. This is heaven. You come over here.
Making use out of it.
What are you talking about? You come over here. If you can't be somebody here, you can't be nobody nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I need to tell you? You came from hardship to where you have electricity, where you can earn a decent living. You can get a job. You can work 2-3 jobs, especially if you're not handicapped. You know what I'm saying? So what else do I need to tell you? You can go to school with student loan and become a medical doctor. You can be a lawyer tomorrow. If it's just about decisions. You know what I'm saying? It's about priorities. It's about discipline. It's about believing in yourself and staying away from peer pressure. Like, whether you like it or not, there's a lot of distraction here.
Very true.
Especially coming from poverty, coming in here, you're thinking you can go and steal this and nobody will catch you. You can do this. It's just those are quick fix. If you're trying to be a man, you're trying to be a human being, you need to build something.
Yeah.
You need to build something. Like, you need to think about the future. You need to think about getting married tomorrow, having children, setting a good example for your children. You have to think about where do you see the biggest thing for anybody is looking at yourself, not for where you are today.
But
where
you're
do you
going.
see yourself 10 years from now? How do you want to look at yourself 10 years from now? Remember when we first came to America, you know, we go to Nigerian parties, you see some people, they drive in cabs, they pull up in their cabs. I used to ask myself, man, why are these people driving cabs in America? Like, how can you be a cab driver? Like, you know, back home, if a cab driver is like, you're doing one of the manual level,
the minimal work.
And you come to America, you're driving taxi. We used to, like, people that came with me around the same time, we used to be like, some people, we used to talk about it then, oh man, if I'm in America for 10 years, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that. Those are goals. So you speak it into existence and you believe in them. And you walk towards it.
Set goals.
You know what I'm saying? So if you don't stand for something, you can fall for anything, period.
Very true.
You know?
Very true.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And with that, we've come to the end of this episode. The shoe that was painted, which is now, for me, it's not a shoe. It's a sculpture. It belongs to you.
Wow.
We'd like to just make it a piece of our discussion that we had today. It's no longer a shoe, but we'd just like you to have it.
I'm rocking it to AFRIMMA fashion show. I was thinking I want to wear to AFRIMMA fashion show, now I have something.
The AFRIMMA fashion show is coming up.
You wearing a whole sculpture to the fashion show.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
But
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Big A.
Chieftain, we're coming behind you as creatives. We're looking at what you're doing, and you know, as an African as well. When you come to a society where there's not a lot of people like you, there are a couple of people you can look up to, and I'll say a lot of my friends, for sure, and myself, we know we look up to the things you're doing.
Thank you.
And we're so glad you're doing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you personally for introducing me to the entertainment industry. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking patience with me. You know, I know you could tell that, you know, you gave, I mean, I had to go get it, but I feel like you helped me said that, you know, just let me know.
It was all you.
Yeah.
You had it in you.
Yeah.
It's not about, I've had a lot of people that came on board, wanted to be mentored. You come in to be mentored, you bring in something to the table. It's just, you're a product already.
Yeah.
You just have to help mold it.
Shape the product, shape the clay. He's already a clay.
So it's not like, one thing with you is that you always have that, like, as small as it looks, this guy is somebody that if there's a giant coming out and I want
he's going to take it down,
I'll tell him to go fight the giant.
He'll take the giant
And you know, like the kind of confidence.
Even when I was going to Nigeria,
I've learned so much from him.
Yeah,
like, I'm not playing. When he was going to Nigeria, when we signed 30 years, he was going to Nigeria. I'm like,
because like, you sure you get?
You know, I'm like, and I told you, and I think I bet it against you. I'm like, this guy will not last.
He will last.
It's like, I give you 1 month.
One thing I learned from him is, so whenever, as an artist, I always like to challenge myself. You know, I'm painting, then from painting, I want to expand the studio. I want to go into sculpting. So I started sculpting, then I wanted to expand. I went into video, and of course, we're also working on an art documentary in Nigeria. And we're like, instead of a podcast, let's make something an ArtCast where I'm performing, but we're talking about these issues I'm painting. Well, Emmanuel, the problem we're going to have is the people I want to speak to, it's going to be hard for us to get them to the studio, because it's not a matter of we want to go do it. They want to bring them into the situation room, into the studio. And it was like, we'll have to do it. We'll have to bring them. We'll have to find a way. And you know, the second day we opened Google Docs, we started coming up with the idea, and here we are. So yeah, I know you can take down a giant.
This guy is something else.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he's a go-getter.
Yeah, he's a go-getter.
And one thing I learned from him is confidence.
Yeah.
Manny has the confidence of a giant, like this whole building.
He will take it down.
Like,
yeah.
He doesn't care what you think.
No.
He's just
what your thoughts are.
He just keeps going and just keep it up. You know, I know Sky is gonna be the name of your legend. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the drive. I appreciate you.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.